Everybody, this is Bo back in the lounge. Want to say thank you to our 1.5 million listeners. Thank you for making as large as we are, and keep telling your friends and spreading the word and emailing us our questions. So right now we're going to go down to UNC Pembroke wrestling program, talk to head wrestling coach Jamie Gibbs. Coach, thank you so much for showing up.
Hey, thanks for having me, Bo. Appreciate it.
We always like when the coaches tend to call into our studio. It makes it easier for us to route the phone call, so thank you for doing that as well.
No problem.
Coach, I'm trying to figure something out here. Wrestling season is in the god-awful worst part of the year. Up here in the Midwest, we had torrents of snowstorm, ice storm. We had visibility down to zero. We're heading out to places that I couldn't even find on a map, let alone in a snowstorm. But then the coaches had the luxury of going to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, one of the most beautiful party towns in the entire planet, for a mega coaches meeting. I think that wasn't that irony there, sir?
Yeah, I guess, huh? We're spoiled. Jeez, they treat us good, huh?
Well, at least one time of the year you treat you well.
They offer we're having our national tournaments and national duels all in the Midwest. They reward everybody and put us down in Florida for the summer.
Yeah, if that's anything like for business trips, because when I used to travel for companies, we would go to like our clients' sites, and it was the beautiful places on the planet. Our meetings were always in Nashua during the middle of a snowstorm, ice storm. I don't know how many times I had to spend the night because the planes were grounded because of bad weather. You all had the exact opposite. Your seasons are horrible normally. Hurricane season, for example, tropical storms, and then you get down to Fort Lauderdale. Did you have a good time down there, Coach?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I tell you what, NWCA did a great job hosting that coaches convention. There were some top-notch coaches there, and got to learn from some of the best, and just kind of see what direction the wrestling, the sport of wrestling's going. So it's an exciting time for wrestling, and it needs to be. Definitely needs to be to continue to grow our sport. So, and that's kind of what the focus of this convention was, is just to kind of how we're going to continue to grow and promote our sport, and what better way to, get motivated to do that and be in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, huh?
Yeah. Now, Coach Gibbs, you had some powerhouses that were at this seminar. We had a chance to grab Tom Borelli, which is a legend up here in the wrestling community, and I'm sure among you all as well, because he's been doing it so long and he's been successful. Coach Brand, you've just had the biggest players, and me as a sports guy, if I was in the same room with those guys, I'd be quivering, shaking hands, taking notes, and I'd probably forget my camera just because I wanted to have some FaceTime with some of those guys. You grew up in that environment in your wrestling background out in Iowa to go against some of those legends. It had to be pretty cool for you now as a coach to be seen as a peer among some of these just myths in the sport.
It was phenomenal. And you're exactly right. I was. Coach Borelli did a technique session, and I was there. I was taking notes. Coach Gable was talking at our luncheon. I was there taking notes. Coach Smith down in Missouri, is doing a great job down there as well. So yeah, you're right. It was exciting, and it just this time of year, it's a great way to start off the school year. You get back just in that environment with all those guys, those competitive juices get going, and it's just a great environment to start the school year off.
Well, Coach, you come from a very strong background as well. You did very well in your earlier career as well as in wrestling. What did you take forward that you learned all those years of training over and over again? Because wrestling is a sport about techniques. The better you refine your techniques, the quicker you can do them, the more chances are you're going to become an All-American. What have you brought forward to this new program? And congratulations, by the way, over at UNC Pembroke.
Well, probably the things I've learned the most, of course, is the techniques and the repetitions like you're talking about. But I guess probably the things I've learned the most, just being in Iowa and, wrestling at Iowa Central for 2 years, and then going to Co and wrestling, and then, coaching there for 5 years, and, 1 year as a grad assistant at La Crosse. All very successful programs in their respective division. Is just probably more a work ethic and lifestyle type of mentality, and just And that's the one thing that we really try to emphasize here is, of course, the techniques and the practice repetitions, but just more or less of living the lifestyle of a wrestler and, doing the right things during the season and out of the season, just trying to make a year-round commitment to the sport of wrestling and, doing the right thing all the time, making good decisions both on and off the mat. So that's kind of probably the most important thing that I brought from the Midwest, just kind of that work ethic mentality and, the wrestling lifestyle.
Well, you're at a sort of, I guess, at a different advantage point being down south because we don't hear of a lot of programs being down south. You might be the furthest down south program that we can call on because it seems like between football, baseball, and basketball, wrestling is not a focus, but on the smaller campuses across this country, we are seeing more club sport to be converted to varsity sport in the sport of wrestling. We know D1s are struggling right now, even D1 AA's, but in the D2 and D3 ranks, we're seeing a lot of varsity sports coming online that actually have scholarship funds allocated for that. In your position, it's got to be pretty good. I know the D1 coaches are a little annoyed, and I've had numerous ones on, and I do feel bad for their cause, and we're hoping we can do our little part here by promoting what they do to get the alumni on the bandwagon. However, in your position, it's got to seem pretty good to see how many of those D2s are starting to show up.
Yeah, and they're continuing to grow, and I hope that's a trend that stays. And I see you keep having these NAIA schools, and like you said, Division threes. And some of these NAI schools are coming on board with Division II, and I wrestled in the junior college ranks and then in Division III ranks and coached in the Division III ranks for 6-7 years. And, I love Division II. I think it's great. I love the mentality, the student athlete. I love the school size. It's just it's a great situation. Division II wrestling, I believe, is just going to continue to grow, and I think we're seeing that. And I think there's 4 or 5 teams right now that are working to get their way into Division II status. So we're going to continue to grow, and I hope that's a trend that continues on all levels and all divisions.
Well, the advantage for wrestling over a lot of other sports, and I know a lot of sports like soccer and swimming have the same examples out here, but in wrestling it's more of an individual sport. Even though there's teams associated, we have duels, you have team score, individual score, but in wrestling you have the advantage of being invited to different tournaments that will have the Iowas, the Central Michigans, the NC States, the UNCs, and be able to have your athletes go against the D1 components and see how well you do. In a lot of cases, I think a lot of coaches are surprised that what you've learned has actually transferred very easily over to your athlete, and those athletes usually show up and are great against some of the bigger programs because you have more hands-on. You have to look at character a lot heavier than some of those other schools.
Absolutely. And we do, you're exactly right. And we try to, so we're prepared for the national tournament. Sometimes being in the South, we, with not as many programs, we have to travel a little further, but we try to do a good job with our schedule and making sure that we're seeing the best that Division II has to wrestle. And we wrestle a few Division I programs. Actually, this year we're going to make the trip to Iowa City and wrestle in Carver against Iowa in a Division III school and co-college, and I believe a junior college. So we're going to take our team into the Midwest, and it'll be great for our Southern boys to just get a chance to visit where wrestling is the sport, so we're excited about that. Our kids are excited about that, so great experience for everyone.
Coach, we're going to ask and say thank you for showing up and being so strong. We're going to ask once again if we can give you a call in another month and check on some of your summer status as you start winding up into the season.
Yeah, I look forward to it, Bo. Thanks again for having me, and look forward to talking with you soon.
Absolutely. Hey, head coach Jamie Gibbs from UNC Pembroke is one of our favorite stops on the map. We end up going through that town down to some of our favorite vacation spots, and it's a beautiful place to be, and it's close to the beach. That's right, guys, close to the beach. Thanks a lot, Coach. You take care of yourself.
Hey, thanks a lot, Bo. Take care.
You too. One moment, please. We're off the air.